Adaeze was the happiest bride in the entire village of Umunachi. Her smile was brighter than the morning sun. Her wrapper was the finest silk imported from the city. Her coral beads sat perfectly on her neck like she was born to wear them. But as she knelt before her new mother-in-law to receive the traditional wedding blessing, something cold pressed into her palm. "Wear this always," Mama Obiora whispered, placing an old brass bangle into Adaeze's hand. "It belonged to my mother. It will protect you in your new home." Adaeze looked at the bangle. It was old, tarnished, and ugly compared to the gold jewelry she was wearing, but she smiled and slipped it onto her wrist. "Thank you, Mama," she said respectfully. Mama Obiora smiled, but her smile did not reach her eyes. For 10 years, Adaeze wore that bangle. For 10 years, she suffered in ways she could not explain. For 10 years, she never connected her misfortune to the gift her mother-in-law gave her on the happiest day of her life. But what was really inside that bangle? And why did Mama Obiora want her son's wife to wear it forever? Let us go back to where it all began. If you love stories like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss another tale. Now, let us continue. Adaeze was not born into wealth, but she was born with something money could not buy: beauty, grace, a gentle heart. She was the third daughter of Mazi Okoro, a humble yam farmer in the village of Umunachi. Their compound was small, their meals were simple, but there was love in that house, the kind of love that made poverty feel like plenty. Adaeze had learned early to work hard. Every morning she woke before the cock crowed. She swept the compound, fetched water from the stream, and helped her mother prepare breakfast. While other girls her age were still sleeping, Adaeze was already on her way to the farm. "This one will marry well," the village women always said when they saw her carrying firewood on her head. "See how she walks, see how she greets elders. She will bring fortune to her husband's house." And they were right. When Adaeze turned 22, suitors began to come. They came with palm wine. They came with kola nuts. They came with promises of wealth and comfort. But Mazi Okoro was a careful man. He did not want his daughter to marry just anyone. Beauty attracts many eyes, but character is what keeps a home standing. We must choose wisely. Then one day, Obiora came. Obiora was different from the others. He was not the richest suitor. He was not the most handsome. But there was something about him that made Adaeze's heart beat faster. Maybe it was the way he looked at her, like she was the only woman in the world. Maybe it was the way he spoke to her father with respect, not arrogance. Maybe it was the way he brought gifts, not just for her, but for her younger siblings too. "I am not a wealthy man, but I work hard. I have a small trading business in the city. I have a house, not a mansion, but enough for a family. And I will love your daughter with everything I have." Mazi Okoro studied him carefully. Then he turned to Adaeze. "My daughter, what do you say?" Adaeze looked at Obiora. Her heart already knew the answer. "I say yes, Papa." The village celebrated when they heard the news. A wedding date was set. Preparations began. Women gathered to sew wrappers. Men gathered to plan the feast. Adaeze could not stop smiling. But there was one person who did not smile: Mama Obiora. Mama Obiora was a woman who had suffered. Her husband had died when Obiora was just a boy, leaving her to raise him alone. She had sold vegetables in the market. She had farmed other people's land. She had done things she never spoke about just to feed her only son. When Obiora grew up and started his trading business, Mama Obiora finally breathed. When he built a house in the city, she wept with joy. When he started sending money home every month, she told everyone in the village that her suffering had ended. "My son is my reward," she would say proudly. "Everything I did was for him. He is mine." But now, Obiora was getting married, and Mama Obiora was not happy. It was not that she hated Adaeze. She had never even met the girl properly, but she hated the idea of sharing her son. She hated the thought of another woman sleeping beside him, cooking his meals, having his children. "These young girls," she muttered to herself one night, "they will come and take everything. They will turn my son against me. They will push me aside like I am nothing." Her heart hardened. When Obiora brought Adaeze to meet her for the first time, Mama Obiora studied the girl with cold eyes. She watched how Adaeze knelt to greet her. She watched how Adaeze helped in the kitchen without being asked. She watched how Adaeze laughed at Obiora's jokes. "She is pretending," she whispered to herself. "This one is a deceiver. She will show her true colors after the wedding." But deep down, Mama Obiora knew the truth. Adaeze was genuinely kind, genuinely respectful, genuinely in love with her son. And that made Mama Obiora hate her even more. The wedding day arrived with great celebration. The whole village came out. Drums beat loudly, women danced with their wrappers flying, men poured palm wine freely. Adaeze was dressed like a queen, her skin glowing with shea butter, her hair braided with gold thread. Obiora could not take his eyes off her. "You are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen," he whispered when she came to stand beside him. Adaeze blushed. "And you are the most wonderful man." The ceremony proceeded smoothly. Blessings were spoken, kola nuts were broken, prayers were offered. Then came the moment for Adaeze to kneel before her mother-in-law and receive her blessing. The compound fell silent. Mama Obiora stood tall, her face unreadable. She looked at Adaeze kneeling before her, young, beautiful, full of hope. "Stand up, my daughter," Mama Obiora said, her voice steady. Adaeze stood, her eyes lowered in respect. Mama Obiora reached into the folds of her wrapper and brought out something wrapped in old cloth. She unwrapped it slowly, revealing a brass bangle. It was not beautiful. It was not new. It was tarnished with age, its surface rough and dull. Strange markings were etched into the metal, symbols that looked like they belonged to another time. "This bangle belonged to my mother," Mama Obiora said loudly so everyone could hear. "It has been in our family for generations. It is a symbol of protection and blessing. I give it to you, my daughter, to welcome you into our family." The crowd murmured in approval. What a generous mother-in-law. What a beautiful tradition. Adaeze took the bangle with both hands. "Thank you, Mama. I will treasure it always." Mama Obiora leaned closer and whispered, "Wear it always. Never remove it. Promise me." Something in her voice made Adaze's skin prickle, but she nodded obediently. "I promise, Mama." Mama Obiora smiled. It was the first time she had smiled all day. But if Adaeze had looked closely, she would have seen that the smile did not reach her mother-in-law's eyes. She would have seen the glint of something dark, something satisfied, something that looked almost like victory. Adaeze slipped the bangle onto her left wrist. It fit perfectly, almost as if it had been made for her. And just like that, the curse began. Adaeze and Obiora moved to the city after their wedding. Obiora's house was modest but comfortable. 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a sitting room with a television. Adaeze loved it immediately. "This is our home," she said happily, arranging flowers on the small table. "I will make it beautiful for us." Obiora watched her with love in his eyes. "It is already beautiful because you are in it." For the first few months, everything was perfect. Adaeze kept the house clean, she cooked Obiora's favorite meals, she greeted his friends with warmth, she prayed with him every morning. She was everything a good wife should be. But then, strange things started happening. It started small. Adaeze began feeling tired all the time. Not the normal tiredness of housework, but a deep exhaustion that made her bones feel heavy. She would sleep for 10 hours and wake up feeling like she had not slept at all. "Maybe you are working too hard," Obiora said with concern. "Rest more. I will help with the chores." Adaeze tried to rest, but the tiredness did not go away. Then came the headaches. Sharp, blinding headaches that struck without warning. Adaeze would be cooking and suddenly the room would spin. She would be laughing with Obiora and suddenly pain would split her skull in 2. "We should see a doctor," Obiora said. They went to the hospital. The doctor ran tests. Everything came back normal. "There is nothing wrong with you," the doctor said, puzzled. "Maybe it is stress. Try to relax." But Adaeze knew something was wrong. She could feel it in her body. Something was draining her strength. Something was feeding on her strength. And then the worst thing happened. Adaeze discovered she was pregnant. At first she was overjoyed. She had always wanted children. She ran to Obiora with tears of happiness streaming down her face. "We are going to be parents," she cried. Obiora lifted her up and spun her around. "This is the best news of my life." They celebrated, they planned, they dreamed about their future child. But 3 months later, Adaeze lost the baby. The doctor said it was a miscarriage. "These things happen sometimes," he explained. "It is not your fault. You can try again." Adaeze cried for weeks. Obiora held her every night, whispering words of comfort, but nothing could fill the emptiness in her heart. "We will try again," Obiora promised. "God will bless us." They tried again, and again, and again. In 10 years, Adaeze had 7 miscarriages. 7 times she felt life growing inside her. 7 times she dreamed of holding her baby. 7 times she lost everything. The doctors could not explain it. Every test showed she was healthy. Every scan showed the baby was healthy. But every time, around the 3rd or 4th month, the baby would die inside her. "It is a mystery," the doctor said helplessly. "We have never seen anything like this." But it was not a mystery. It was the bangle. As the years passed, Adaeze's suffering became known in the village. Mama Obiora made sure of it. "Have you heard?" she would whisper to the other women at the market. "My daughter-in-law has lost another pregnancy. 7 times now. 7! The women would shake their heads sadly. Poor woman, what a terrible fate. But Mama Obiora's eyes would gleam with something that looked almost like satisfaction. "I have told my son to take another wife. A man must have children. But he refuses. He is blinded by love." The whispers spread like wildfire. "Adaeze is barren. She has been cast. She must have done something terrible in her past life. Obiora should marry another woman before it is too late." The whispers reached Adaeze's ears. She pretended not to hear them, but every word cut her like a knife. At night, she would cry into her pillow, asking God what she had done to deserve such punishment. "Why, Lord?" she would pray through her tears. "I have been faithful. I have been kind.
I have loved my husband with all my heart. Why are you taking my children from me?" But heaven seemed silent. Meanwhile, Mama Obiora continued her campaign. She visited the city often, staying in her husband's house for weeks at a time. She watched Adaeze with cold eyes, criticizing everything she did. "The soup is too salty. The house is not clean enough. Why are you wearing that dress? It is not suitable for a married woman." Adaeze bore it all with patience. She told herself that Mama Obiora was just an old woman who missed her son. She told herself that things would get better with time. But things did not get better. One evening, when Obiora was away on business, Mama Obiora cornered Adaeze in the kitchen. "I know what you are doing," Mama Obiora hissed. "You think you can keep my son to yourself forever. You think you can deny him children and remain in this house." Adaeze was stunned. "Mama, I do not understand. I want children more than anything." Mama Obiora laughed bitterly. "You are a deceiver, just like all women. But mark my words, unless you give my son a child soon, I will make sure he sends you away. I will find him a real wife, a woman who can bear children." Adaeze's eyes filled with tears. "Mama, please, I am trying. I am doing everything I can." Mama Obiora stepped closer. Her eyes were like stones. "Try harder, or pack your bags." She walked out of the kitchen, leaving Adaeze trembling against the wall. That night, Adaeze cried until she had no tears left. She looked at the brass bangle on her wrist, the one Mama Obiora had given her on her wedding day. For some reason, she wanted to remove it, but she remembered her promise. Wear it always, never remove it. Adaeze left the bangle on her wrist, and her suffering continued.
10 years passed. Adaeze was not the same woman who had walked into Obiora's house with joy and hope. Her face was thin, her eyes were hollow, her skin had lost its glow. She moved through life like a ghost, going through the motions without feeling anything. Obiora still loved her. He told her every day. He held her every night. He refused to take another wife despite his mother's constant pressure. "You are my wife," he would say firmly. "I married you, not children. We will face this together." But Adaeze could see the sadness in his eyes. She could see how he looked at other men's children in the compound. She could see the emptiness in their home, the rooms that should have been filled with laughter and tiny feet. "I have failed you," she whispered to him one night. "You deserve a woman who can give you children." Obiora held her tighter. "I deserve you, only you." But even his love could not heal the wound in her heart. One afternoon, Adaeze was alone in the house when an old woman knocked on her gate. The woman was dressed in white, her hair gray, her face wrinkled like tree bark. She carried a walking stick and moved slowly, like someone who had lived 100 years. "Good afternoon, Mama," Adaeze greeted politely. "Can I help you?" The old woman studied her with strange, piercing eyes. "You are the one they call Adaeze?" "Yes, Mama." The old woman nodded slowly. "I have been watching you for a long time. The spirits sent me to help you." Adaeze frowned. "Spirits? Mama, I do not understand." The old woman pointed her stick at Adaeze's left wrist. "That bangle you are wearing, where did you get it?" Adaeze looked at the brass bangle. "My mother-in-law gave it to me on my wedding day. She said it was a family heirloom." The old woman's face darkened. "Family heirloom," she repeated bitterly. "Is that what she told you?" "Yes, Mama. She said it belonged to her mother. She said it would protect me." The old woman shook her head slowly. My daughter, you have been deceived. That bangle is not a blessing. It is a curse. It was made by a powerful native doctor many years ago. It feeds on the life force of whoever wears it. It drains their strength. It kills their unborn children. It steals their joy. Adaeze's blood ran cold. What? The old woman stepped closer. Your mother-in-law knew exactly what she was giving you. She wanted to destroy you. She wanted to make sure you never gave her son a child. She wanted to remain the only woman in his life. Adaeze staggered backward. No, that cannot be true. Mama Obiora is difficult, but she would never. Look at your life, the old woman said firmly. Look at the past 10 years. How many pregnancies have you lost? How many nights have you cried? How tired do you feel every single day? Does this feel like the life of a blessed woman? Tears streamed down Adaeze's face. Her mind raced through the years of suffering, the unexplained tiredness, the headaches, the miscarriages. Everything suddenly made terrible sense. The bangle, she whispered, looking at the tarnished brass on her wrist. It was the bangle all along. The old woman nodded. Remove it now. Throw it into running water where it can never be found. Only then will the curse be broken. Adaeze reached for the bangle with trembling fingers, but when she tried to pull it off, it would not move. She pulled harder. It still refused to budge. It was like the metal had fused with her skin. I cannot remove it, she cried. It will not come off. The old woman's eyes widened. The curse has grown strong. It has fed on you for 10 years. You will need more than ordinary strength to break free. What do I do, Mama? Please help me. The old woman reached into her bag and brought out a small bottle filled with clear liquid. This is holy water, blessed by 7 priests. Pour it on the bangle tonight at midnight. Pray with all your heart. Call on the God of your fathers. If your faith is strong enough, the bangle will break. Adaeze took the bottle with shaking hands. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. The old woman turned to leave, but before she walked away, she looked back with sad eyes. Be warned, my daughter, when the curse is broken, the one who placed it will feel it. Your mother-in-law will know, and she will not be happy. Be prepared for her anger. Be prepared to fight. Then she was gone. Adaeze stood in her compound, clutching the bottle of holy water, her heart beating wildly in her chest. Tonight, everything would change, one way or another. That night, Adaeze told Obiora everything. She told him about the old woman. She told him about the curse. She told him what her mother had done on their wedding day. Obiora listened in silence. When she finished, his face was a mask of shock and pain. My mother, he whispered, my own mother did this to you. Adaeze nodded, tears flowing freely. I did not want to believe it either, she said, but it all makes sense now. The tiredness, the pregnancies, everything. Obiora's hands clenched into fists. I will confront her. I will demand the truth. Not yet, Adaeze said quickly. First, we must break the curse. If it does not work, then we will know the old woman was lying. But if it works, then we will know my mother is a monster. At midnight, they gathered in their bedroom. Adaeze held the bottle of holy water. Obiora held her other hand, lending her his strength. Are you ready? He asked. Adaeze closed her eyes. Yes.
She poured the holy water over the bangle and began to pray. She prayed with everything she had. She called on the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. She called on the name of Jesus. She called on the Holy Spirit. Lord, break this chain that binds me. Free me from this curse. Restore what the enemy has stolen. Give me back my life. The bangle began to burn. Adaeze screamed as heat seared through her wrist, but she did not stop praying. She prayed louder. She prayed harder. Obiora joined her, his voice rising with hers. The room began to shake. The lights flickered. A cold wind swept through, even though all the windows were closed. And then, with a sound like breaking glass, the bangle cracked and fell from her wrist. It hit the floor and shattered into 100 pieces. From the pieces rose a dark smoke that twisted and writhed like a living thing. They heard a scream, distant and terrible, like someone in great pain. Then silence. Adaeze collapsed into Obiora's arms, gasping for breath. Her wrist was red and raw, but the bangle was gone. The heaviness that had pressed on her chest for 10 years was gone. She felt light. She felt free. "It is done," she whispered. "It is finally done." Obiora held her tightly, tears streaming down his face. "You are free, my love. You are finally free." The next morning, they traveled to the village. Mama Obiora was sitting outside her hut when they arrived, but she did not look like her usual self. Her face was gaunt, her eyes were hollow, her skin had lost its glow. The moment she saw Adaeze, she began to scream, "You! What have you done? What have you done to me?" Adaeze stepped forward, calm and steady. The fear she once felt for this woman was gone. "The curse is broken, Mama. The bangle you gave me is destroyed." Mama Obiora's face twisted with rage. "You foolish girl! That bangle was supposed to keep you in your place. It was supposed to make my son realize he made a mistake marrying you. It was supposed to drive you away." Obiora stepped forward, his voice shaking with anger. "Mother, how could you? She is my wife. She has done nothing but love and respect you for 10 years. Mama Obiora laughed bitterly. "Love? Respect? She took you from me. The moment you married her, you forgot about your mother. Everything I sacrificed for you, and you chose her over me." "You were never in competition with her," Obiora shouted. "She is my wife. You are my mother. There was room for both of you in my heart." Mama Obiora's laughter turned into sobs. "You do not understand. You will never understand. I suffered alone for years. I gave everything for you. And then she came and took you away. I could not let her have everything. I could not let her give you children when I suffered so much to raise you alone." Adaeze's heart broke at the twisted logic. All those years of suffering, all those lost babies, all because of a bitter woman's jealousy.
"Mama," Adaeze said softly, stepping closer. "I never wanted to take your son from you. I wanted us to be a family. I wanted my children to know their grandmother. I wanted to love you like my own mother." Mama Obiora looked at her with hollow eyes. "It is too late now. Everything is ruined." Obiora's voice was cold. "You are right, mother. Everything is ruined because of you." He took Adaeze's hand. "We are leaving. Do not expect to see us again. You are no longer welcome in our home." Mama Obiora's screams followed them as they walked away. She cursed, she wept, she begged, but Obiora did not look back. Neither did Adaeze. 3 months after the curse was broken, Adaeze discovered she was pregnant. She was terrified at first. Every previous pregnancy had ended in heartbreak, but this time felt different. Her body felt stronger. The tiredness was gone. The headaches were gone. She felt alive for the first time in 10 years. Obiora watched over her like a hawk. He reduced his business trips. He hired a housemaid so Adaeze could rest. He prayed over her belly every night. "This child will live," he declared with faith. "This child is our miracle." The months passed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. The pregnancy continued. 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. Adaeze's belly grew round and healthy. The doctors were amazed. They said, "Whatever was wrong before seems to have corrected itself. This is truly a miracle." Adaeze knew it was more than a miracle. It was deliverance. It was restoration. It was God answering 10 years of prayers. On a bright morning in the dry season, Adaeze gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. They came into the world screaming loudly, their lungs strong, their bodies perfect. Obiora wept when he held them for the first time. "My children," he whispered, "my beautiful children." Adaeze watched him through happy tears. "They are here. They are finally here." The village celebrated the news. People who had whispered about Adaeze now sang her praises. Women who had pitied her now congratulated her. The story of her suffering and restoration spread far and wide. "The barren woman has born twins. God has remembered her. Nothing is impossible for the Almighty." But Adaeze did not pay attention to the praises. She was too busy holding her babies, feeding them, watching them sleep. Every moment with them felt like a gift she had waited for all her life. 1 year after the twins were born, news came from the village. Mama Obiora had died. No one knew exactly what happened. Some said she had gone mad after her son abandoned her. Others said she had tried to place another curse, but it had backfired. Others said she had simply withered away from bitterness and loneliness. When Obiora heard the news, he was silent for a long time. Adaeze sat beside him, holding his hand. "I do not know how to feel," he finally said. "She was my mother. She raised me. But she also tried to destroy the woman I love." Adaeze squeezed his hand. "It is okay to grieve." Obiora shook his head slowly. "I grieved for her a long time ago. The mother I loved died the day I discovered what she did to you. The woman who died today was a stranger." They attended the funeral, but they did not stay long. Adaeze watched as the village buried the woman who caused her so much pain. She expected to feel satisfaction. She expected to feel vindicated. But all she felt was pity. "What a waste," she whispered to herself. "All that bitterness, all that hatred, and for what? She died alone and unloved. She missed the chance to know her grandchildren. She destroyed her own happiness with her own hands." Obiora put his arm around her. "Let us go home. Our children are waiting." They walked away from the grave without looking back.
Years passed. The twins grew strong and healthy. Adaeze and Obiora had 2 more children, a boy and another girl. Their house was filled with laughter, with noise, with the chaos of family life. Adaeze never forgot the 10 years she suffered, but she did not let bitterness consume her. She used her story to help other women who were struggling, women who felt cursed,
women who had given up hope. Never stop praying, she would tell them. Never stop believing. The enemy may steal 10 years from you, but God can restore it all in one day. Do not give up. Your breakthrough is coming. And she would show them her wrist, still bearing a faint scar from where the bangle had once been. This scar is my reminder, she would say. It reminds me of what I survived. It reminds me that no curse is stronger than God. It reminds me that the darkest night always ends with morning. The women would listen with tears in their eyes, and many of them found hope again. As for Adaeze, she lived the rest of her life in peace. She watched her children grow up. She watched her grandchildren run around her compound. She grew old beside the man who had loved her through everything. And every night before she slept, she thanked God for her restoration. You turned my mourning into dancing. You gave me beauty for ashes. You restored the years the locusts had eaten. I will praise you forever. Not every gift is a blessing. Some gifts carry darkness disguised as love. Be careful what you accept from others, especially those who smile at your face but harbor envy in their hearts. But more importantly, remember this: no curse is permanent, no chain is unbreakable, no night lasts forever. If you are going through suffering you cannot explain, do not give up. Seek God, seek deliverance, seek the truth. Because the same God who freed Adaeze can free you too. What is meant to destroy you will become your testimony. What is meant to break you will become your strength. What is meant to silence you will become your story. Hold on. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Did you enjoy this story? If you did, please like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another powerful tale like this one. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever received a gift that turned out to be a curse? How did you overcome it? I want to hear your story. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Stay blessed.